Thank you very much. Greetings to everybody. I want to say that I'm grateful that you invited me to such an interesting fair. I think it's a pity that I didn't know about you before, but we have some time in the future to correct that mistake. This is definitely not a coincidence that we have such a subject, empowerment in ultra subculture between isolation and social engagement, that we have that talk in Split. Split is a sports city. Split is city crazy about football. If you would walk around in the city of Split, you will see big graffitis, in fact murals devoted to Hajduk football club from Split and Torcida, the hardcore passionate fans, supporters of Hajduk Split. And that's why I said this is definitely not a coincidence, and I think that this passion, this energy, this love deserve this Tool Fair talk. So talking about empowerment in ultra subculture, just few words about theory. I am aware that people, my colleagues in the field of sociology, they use terms like subculture, tribe or neo-tribe, affective alliance, expressive community, and even social movement as a really different notions. But according to my own research, my own data, and my opinion formed on the basis of that, we can use a term subculture and a term tribe, because tribe was linked with the work of Michel Maffesoli, and after translation of his book, The Time of the Tribes in English, something which I could call a superficial interpretation of Maffesoli's work in British youth studies happened, and then some of the authors emphasized the difference between subculturalists and post-subculturalists. I think this is the time to reclaim Michel Maffesoli and his word tribe in the field of youth subcultural research. So just to say that I worked with my colleague Marko Mustapic on several big European projects like My Place. My Place is an acronym of Memory, Youth, Political Legacy, and Civic Engagement, and overcome them soon. So now we are participating in Promise, promoting youth involvement and engagement. And within those projects, among many other things, we did two important things. First, within My Place, we did 4 years ethnography of Torcida, passionate and radical supporters of Hajduk Split, and then within Promise, we did it, but still we have few months for dissemination, and the project will end in April next year. We did 2 years ethnography of Vartex Football Club and the White Stones, like supporters of Vartex. Vartex is a similar story like Football Club United of Manchester, or Austria Salzburg, or Wimbledon, or other clubs. Maybe you are not familiar with that process, but it's about the process in which football fans themselves are establishing football clubs. This is part of the Against Modern Football movement, which I will talk about soon. So the theme of this Tool Fair is empowerment, and I think even if you are not a sociologist but just following the ultra subculture, we know that there is a powerful empowerment, so to say, within the activities of the ultra subculture through various elements like choreographies and even, for example, dancing on the terraces. I saw that there is a dance as empowerment part of the program. For these 2 days, there is also a type of dance which football fans are dancing at the stadium. But this empowerment within the subculture is also limited to the borders of the subculture itself and the mainstream society. Only through the social activities and actions like boycotts, petitions, direct action, and so on, there is a certain link and there is a certain bridge. When we see that bridge, we also see possibility for other empowerment. Empowerment as social, through social activities and recognition of football supporters as social actors. So if we know few words about modern football, we also know about the movement called Against Modern Football. Commercialization of football started already in the 60s, even before, but the new wave of commercialization and the transnational character of the market success of football clubs as corporations, it started in the 90s, especially after the Bosman rule and after the big influx of the capital, especially from media corporations, the foundation of Premiership, Champions League, and so on. So, empowerment within subculture is a certain subcultural empowerment, and that empowerment could stand under the, let's say, isolation. And then if we watch the Against Modern Football movement as a certain response to commercialization and also to ever stricter surveillance over football fans and football supporters, then we see this bridge, this link, what I'm talking about, when football fans are apart from the physical and empowerment on individual and group level, they are stepping out and they are doing something as social actors for the broader society. So Against Modern Football is a heterogeneous social movement across Europe. And within that movement, you have actions like simple slogans on banners, on walls of the city, but you also have more complex means of fight, so to say, which is, like I mentioned before, foundation of football clubs, like Football Club United of Manchester, like Austria Salzburg, which was bought by a big corporation, Red Bull Salzburg. Then Red Bull changed the name and the colors of the club. Then football fans tried everything like petitions, protests, boycotts. They couldn't succeed, and then they founded Austria Salzburg again. The same thing happened in the north of Croatia with Varteks football club from Varaždin. So, as I said, modern football and football clubs are like corporations. They are branding their services to big market. They are now oriented to fans as consumers, not to traditional hot and radical supporters like in the past. That's why Against Modern Football movement is a movement which is, for me, similar, according to the principles of appearance. It's similar to the beginning of the Green movement in the 80s, because so many different social actors and different political and other world views are together in actions because of the certain value, certain milieu, certain orientation. And this is orientation against commercialization and against ever stricter surveillance. It is also not coincidence that they still use, although it became popular brand, they used the logo of the Fred Perry, because it's a powerful symbolic. Fred Perry was a tennis player who won Wimbledon as the first player from working class. And tennis is definitely not and was not a working class sport in United Kingdom. So, if you just see these pictures without me explaining what's in the picture, you will just get that impression from several countries in Europe, from Austria to Greece, from Greece to the Netherlands, from the Netherlands to Italy and England, and then Germany and Portugal, and so on, back to Croatia. In Croatia, movement against modern football, of course, in networked society, those movements are always embodied and embedded in local community. In Croatia, it means movement against corruption in Croatian football. And just few words about the affairs and the trials and actions regarding the boss of Croatian football. Zdravko Mamić is the real boss of Croatian football, although he is now in Bosnia and Herzegovina. but he was also the cause of numerous scandals and trials. Also, we had the affair called offside, when after the trial, 15 players were sentenced because of the match fixing. They were linked with the so-called betting mafia. So after those scandals, we also remember the trial of Željko Širić and Djedović. In 2011, they asked the then president of Hajduk, Maleš, they asked him to give some money in advance for the so-called fair refereeing. And then Hajduk was in financial crisis, and then the president of Hajduk, like in a Hollywood movie, he asked the police and state attorney for help, and then he went to meet the vice president of Croatian Football Federation and the top guy in the referee organization. He went with 30,000 euros, wired like in the movies, and he gave them that money. When he was giving them those 30,000 euros, it was maybe the time like we are now, exactly like before Christmas. And then the guys, Širić and Djedović, top guys from Croatian Football Federation and referee organization, they told him, oh, this is good, some money in advance for the boys. Boys means referees in Croatian First League. For the boys, that they can buy some presents for their families, wives, and so on. So after the trial, Širić was sentenced for 4 years in prison, but those boys, those referees, are still refereeing all the matches in Croatian First League. Just for the illustration, when I talk about Hajduk from Split, talking in Split, Hajduk has greater attendance, although attendance is pretty low in Croatian League, but Hajduk has greater attendance than all other clubs in Croatia taken together. So, this movement against corruption in Croatian football, a movement against Croatian Football Federation, was strongest here in this city, in Split. And just a few years ago, on this promenade, which people in Split call Riva, 30,000 people gathered in protest against Croatian Football Federation. Zdravko Mamić was arrested and soon released in few days, but when he was arrested, Hajduk and Dinamo played the biggest Croatian derby, and then many people came to the stadium. People from Zagreb were boycotting, in a silent way, so to say, boycotting big matches and celebrations of Dinamo Zagreb. But when Mamić was arrested, the stadium was full. And the Bad Blue Boys, the passionate fans of Dinamo from Zagreb, they did a corteo with more than 10,000 people participating in corteo with a big banner, "You thieves, get out of the club." But the thieves were not getting out of the club. So recently we had a trial of Zdravko Mamić, and he is sentenced for 6.5 years, and he escaped to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and because of the laws on extradition, he is not in Croatia sitting and praying, as he say, in Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is the picture from Riva, from just 10 or 20 meters from where you're sitting now, when 30,000 people gathered. And then something happened. What happened is the big success of Croatian football. And now we are coming to the main point, because youth subculture or ultras subculture, they have their own empowerment within the borders of that subculture. Then they organized meetings, and they attracted attention of the NGOs and several social actors and parts of civil society in Croatia. They started a movement which was outside the borders of subculture. They started a movement against corruption in Croatian Football Federation and against corruption in Croatian society in general. But then the big success of Croatian football, and of course that average people celebrated that, and the whole Croatia exploded in celebration. But for the real ultras, for the members of Torcida and other ultras group in Croatia, it was a certain ambivalent moment. People had divided feelings, ambivalent feelings. Of course, they liked their country to win. But they also knew now Croatian Football Federation will have more money and more power. And how can we criticize them? They could say, oh, we are vice champions of the world. And people would think about that because the dominant discourse, unfortunately, is very old Roman Panem circuses, bread and the games. So it means that those ultras are now without the help of the broader society, because Croatian Football Federation is not responsible only for the national team, and all of those players are already living and playing in rich European clubs. Croatian Football Federation is responsible for whole infrastructure, for women's football, for all the age groups. They were responsible for the licenses to play. So Croatian Football Federation issued the license for the pitch in Zadar, where young player Hrvoje Čustić died. And that player, Hrvoje Čustić, is now always on the t-shirt of the goalkeeper of Croatian national team, Subasic. And that guy who died and who is always on the heart of the Croatian goalkeeper died not because of the football fans throwing flares on the pitch, but because of the license issued by Croatian Football Federation. So, at the end, I could end by this. Football fans, they moved from empowerment within subcultural borders to empowerment and recognition on broader social stage. Now, after big success of Croatian football and the possibility for Croatian Football Federation to hide under this big success, this is now the question. Football fans made the move from subcultural empowerment to broader social movement. Now it depends on us, because without our help, without our understanding, they will just go back to subcultural empowerment and to certain isolation. Thank you very much for your attention.